Fire, fire.
Oh, I love it.
No on the mountain, but there's fire in the furnace.
But honey, you shut the furnace off.
I didn't shut it off.
Well, you did too.
No, I didn't.
Well, I tried to build a fire every morning. I say, I try to build a fire every morning.
Oh, can I tell you this sad story about Elsa?
Sure.
She was going home the other night, you know, and she lived out in Aurora. And she was just going down. She turned about 2 blocks. She turned off Kovacs and went to go down to her street. She lives on Zintia or something. And she hit this cat. And the guy came flying out. You know, he was just furious at her. And she said that she was sorry, you know, and that she'd pay for the cat. It killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And that she'd pay for the cat. And he was just hollering. He wanted $100 for the cat. And she got $100. Well, it's not worth $100. In words, she had to get $100. And Bob was gone. What was she going to do? So pretty soon out comes an Aurora policeman, and he sees them standing there by the car, gets out and asks what the trouble is. And so they told him that she had hit the cat, killed the cat, and that the guy was trying to have her pay $100 for it. So the Aurora policeman gets out his pad and starts writing a ticket to Elsa. And she says, why in the world are you writing a ticket to me? It's no crime to kill a cat. And I stopped. And you know what the ticket was for? The talking sister in the middle of the street. Hi, little guys. I decided I'd just sit down and make this tape. Daddy's upstairs asleep, and Danny's downstairs with his girlfriend, Debbie. Can't you hear the music going? I've been trying and trying to make another tape for you, but it just seems like, I don't know, everything happens. Anyway, we couldn't follow your cute tape. We got such a big bang out of that. It was such a darling thing. I didn't know at the first of this tape that Daddy was taping my risque joke. I hope you kids won't be too shocked at your mother. I wanted to tell you about little Cindy. I was over there babysitting her the other night, and we were talking about her mommy being my little girl, and she looked up at me and she says, I was in my mommy's tummy. And I said, you were? And she says, yes, and I had a pull toy in there too. I said, well, I wouldn't be one bit surprised. So when I told Kathy about that, she said, well, maybe that's why I can't lose any weight. Another thing that she said that was cute, we were down on the floor playing paper dolls, and I had to have her pull me up, and she wanted to know why. And I said, well, honey, your mama's getting old. And she said, why are you getting old? And I said, well, I don't know. So I was putting her to bed and turning off the light, and she says, Mama, I'm going to ask God to plant you again so you won't be old. He's such a smart little thing. We get such a big kick out of her, but you can't stay ahead of her. Little old Carla is just as quiet. She doesn't say anything. She makes you know what she wants without saying a word, and she'll go quietly through the house destroying it. I just can't wait. I really can't wait. I wish you kids are home. We need to see you. Daddy has been working too hard again, under too much pressure. He's really been doing pretty good, though. He's upstairs asleep now. That's why I decided to tape this. And I said that Daddy almost got fired. There was some kind of big beef between Olmsted and Daddy. I don't know exactly what it was. Anyway, we were kind of worried. I was afraid to do anything, afraid the next minute Daddy wouldn't have a job. That kind of tickled at you guys saying, you really know this living room wall. Well, that living room wall is the prettiest thing in the house. He said, we never saw pictures of the patio. You should see the patio. It's still dirt with a couple of flagstones and some planks on it. I sure do hope to have it done by the time you get home and have our bedroom fixed and a bedroom for you. And he's been working on his basement room, just putting up some 4x8 plywood. You'll be shocked, absolutely shocked when you see that room. I was hope nobody ever goes down there. I have a hard time keeping his grandmas out with all the beer cans all over the wall. And then this friend of ours, Jim Smith, gave him a bunch of Playboys that I was hiding from Danny, and he's got those plastered all over. The big picture's in the middle, if you can imagine. Danny's doing pretty good. He feels like the whole world's against him because he has to stay in this summer. And in a way, maybe this accident happened for a reason. I was kind of worried about this summer and what Danny was going to do, and this way I pretty much have my finger on him. I'll tell you how the accident happened. Danny saw this ad in the paper on this chopped hog, and so we wanted to go for a little ride, and we stopped out there, and the fella came out, and he took Danny for a ride on it. He kept saying before that, "Don't you want to drive it?" And Daddy says, "No, no." So they were in the street, and the fellow insisted that Danny get on and drive it, and Daddy told him, he said, "Danny doesn't have a license." And I was sitting in the car, jumping up and down and just having all kinds of fits. And Danny wasn't going to say no because that's chicken, you know, and you just don't do chicken things, evidently. So anyway, the kid took off and went around the corner. And he didn't come back, and he didn't come back, and all of a sudden we heard this funny crash. And George, that's the owner of the bike, we know him pretty well by now. And Daddy went around the corner, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And pretty soon I heard all these sirens, so I decided maybe I better go. So I started the car and went up around the corner, and there was Danny laying on the sidewalk with his leg stretched out, and they were bending over him. They had ripped up his pant leg with a knife and were looking him over. Some woman he had skinned up his arm pretty bad. Some woman had put a towel around that, and he was just laying there. 3 police cars were there. And I couldn't go up to Danny and make over him. He would have killed me, really killed me. I think I got an A that time because he said I'm an overprotective mother as it is. So I just sort of had to stay in the background, and I was scared to death. Then the policemen started asking questions, and when they found out he was only 14, they just about flipped. The motorcycle he had tried to downshift it evidently, and it had slipped out from underneath him and flipped him in the street, and he had stood up and tried to walk. Of course, he fell because his leg was broken and crawled over to the sidewalk, and the motorcycle went on and hit the fence. It banged up the wheel and, just all kinds of things. But the fellow that owned the motorcycle wasn't one bit worried about it. He was hovering over Danny. And his little wife came up, and I told her that we would pay for the damage on the motorcycle, and she said, well, that's not the thing. She was worried about the boy. So they called the ambulance, and I rode in the ambulance with Danny. They put an air cast on his leg, and they didn't go red light and siren because they weren't sure whether it was broken or not, and Daddy followed behind. All this time I kept watching him in the rear vision mirror, afraid that he would have a heart attack or something, because it seems to be the emotional strain that gets to your daddy more than anything else. But he came through it real good, so we took him to St. Joe's Hospital, where Daddy had been all those weeks with his heart attack, and Dr. Weicker came in. They x-rayed his leg, and it was broken. It's quite a bad break. It keeps wanting to go off at the side. They say now he's going to be in this cast from his toes to his hip for 5 months, so you'll get to see him in his cast. His leg was so full of abrasions and so swollen that we've already had another cast put on, and they keep trying to wedge it, keep the bone from slipping. And he was in the hospital for 4 days. And while he was there, the policeman came down to the therapy room where the therapist was teaching Danny how to walk on crutches, and issued him these 2 tickets, one to the Westminster court and the other to the Brighton court, the Adams County court. It scared him to death. Anyway, I'll let you know how this comes out. Danny he's been unhappy, but not too unhappy. In a way, it's done a lot of good, because he always bugged us to drive and kept saying that this kid and that kid drove. In fact, one of the boys that was only 15 drove his red Corvair to school every day and didn't have a license. And why, if they do it, why couldn't he do it? But now he can see that he gets caught no matter what he does, and he can see that going to court is no fun at all. The boys at this age are real funny. They think that getting into trouble is just really kind of a lark and a lot of fun. But in a way, maybe this whole thing happened for a reason, just to kind of pull Danny down to the ground again. I hope that it doesn't do any permanent damage against his license, because it really wouldn't be fair. There really isn't any justice if it does, because this was such a very freakish thing. He feels like he's exiled up here away from the kids. He felt like this last summer, and of course a lot of them drive and can come out here, but they're low on gas money, and Daddy can't do anything anyway. So Daddy went by after Debbie, his little girlfriend, and brought her out tonight, and I'll have to take her home. She's a cute little girl. She isn't little. She must be a good 5'10". She's got blonde shoulder-length hair and looks like a model. She's thin like a model. Danny's just crazy about her. Too much so, I'm afraid. Anyway, Danny has, with this cast, they built it up, a sole kind of thing, 3 inches on the bottom, and then the doctor had me build 3 inches on the heel of his boot and on the sole, so it makes him a good 3 inches taller. He must be, 5'11". He's going to feel awful short when he comes down. It makes him taller than Debbie, and he isn't, unless he has this on. It's out in Hallcraft and Cherry Creek, if you can imagine. I want you to worry about Dottie, honey, because I just talked to her a little bit ago, and she had just spent last week home with her mother and father. They are too old to travel and kind of ailing, and so she went home, and she feels a lot better, and she collected Podge, and he's going to go back to school back there in Chicago because he likes that school. He doesn't like living with his dad. He says his dad is, well, I don't know. I forget what word he used, but anyway, it wasn't too very nice. But anyway, he likes the school a lot better, so he's going to go back there to graduate. And Dottie has her 2 boarders. She seems to be getting along fairly well, so don't worry about her, honey. You'll see her when you get home, and then you'll feel a lot better about her. We were so happy when we found out you were going to be at San Angelo, Texas, that Goodfellow or Oddfellow or whatever that is base. It seems so much closer to home. And you're right, you can come home for Christmas. We'll just really see to that. It kind of tickles you talk about the house and how you only know one wall. Well, actually, that one wall is the prettiest place in this house. The patio that we never talk about is still dirt with some red flagstones thrown on it and a couple of planks that you walk. I want to have that finished for sure before you guys get home and have our bedroom done. And he just put up some plywood. You know, he moved down to the basement. Someday I want to have a big rec room down there, but he said he's finally got the kind of room he likes. The only problem I have is trying to keep his grandmother's out of there because he has the beer cans on the wall. And this Jim Smith from Micromotion, this friend that Daddy's been working with, snuck Danny some Playboy magazines, and you can guess where the middle pages of that went, right up on the wall. Grandma Hall might be a little tolerant of it, but I don't think Grandma Gracie would be. Oh, talking about Grandma Hall, little guys, did you get the $7 that Granddad sent you for your birthday, Davy? They never did here, and they're afraid that you either didn't get it or... Pam, honey, you write back so fast that I'm sure something must have happened either to their letter or to your letter, and they're kind of worried about it. So could you answer them or me? I haven't looked into your insurance yet, but we sure will. Everything will be all set by the time you guys get home. We're going to bring the Corvette home in, I guess in about August, or maybe the 1st of September if it's the end of September when you get here. Can't wait until you get home. I need one statement in my letters, I'm sure, that kind of worried you about Ainsworth firing Daddy. Well, Hodge called Daddy in and he had him all upset, saying that Olmsted was against him and he thought that Daddy was working against the company, and it was a great big mess for about 2 weeks. And I didn't know whether Daddy had a job. Neither did Daddy. That's what that was all about. Everything seems to have cooled down now. I wish Daddy could get out of there. It's just too much. It's just unreal. I think when I send this tape, which will be tomorrow, I know it's not much of a tape, but at least it is some word. I'm going to send one of Danny's tapes in La Gata da Vida or something like that. Anyway, you can see what strange, queer music they have over here now. It's his tape, so you'll have to send it back, but Listen to it. It's really crazy. I just played this tape over, and would you believe that I have repeated myself in 4 different places about Danny's room, Daddy's work, and about your tour thing in Texas. Anyway, I'm going to send it. I played it over once, and it was just a big blank. I don't know what happened. I'm not very mechanically minded, I'm afraid. Oh, another thing, Pam. You wanted to know how much Pat's necklace cost. I sent that necklace to you as a present to give to Pat because they have been so good in taking the kids around. Now that is a present to you, and you don't ask ever to pay for a present. You hear? I love my birthday blouse. It is so beautiful. A little bathing robe or whatever you call it. They're so cute. I have time to go up to the pool. Grandma keeps telling me I should go up to the pool because Daddy goes up there and he gets himself into all kinds of messes without me. So I guess I'm going to have to let my housework go and go up to the pool. Now, kiddies, I'm going to send this tape off, bad as it is, and repeat it as much as I have. I'm sorry about that, but I don't know how to erase it and do the whole thing over again. I'm just going to have to listen to it a couple of times. I think your old mama's getting old, so maybe I should be planning again. My darlings, remember how much we love you and how much we want you to come home. Be real careful and send us a tape. You make darling tapes, not as love does like this.
Hey Dave and Pam, how you doing? How's life been treating you over there in Spain? Here it's pretty rough. We got some music here for you and got it a Vita by Armbud, but you might like it. It's pretty heavy, but I don't know. And then you might not like it because I don't know if you like that kind of music. Here's a stud little story for you guys. This is California, Labor Day weekend. Early with ocean fog still on the streets. Outlaw motorcyclists wearing chains, shades, and greasy Levi's rolled out from damp garages. All-night diners and cast-off midnight pads. Little Jesus, the Gimp, Blind Bob, Terry the Tramp, Frenchy, Moody Marvin, Mother Miles, Dirty Ed, Charlie the Child Molester, Crazy Croft, Puff Magoo. At least 100 more. The menace is loose again. The Hells Angels running fast and loud in the early morning freeway. Long hair in the wind, beards and bandanas, flapping earrings, armpits, chains, whips, swastikas, and stripped down Harleys, flashing chrome, jamming crazy through traffic at 90 miles an hour like a burst of dirty thunder. How's that grab you? I sure don't have much to say on this stupid thing, because I don't like to talk on it anyway. I thought I'd just throw in a few words for you.
Debbie was reading to you out of the Hells Angels book. It's exactly like Dave, doesn't he?
Well, I got up this morning finally to start the day, the same one as always. But I have found out one way for Mommy to keep me quiet. All she has to do is hand me a microphone and I go dead blank. The one thing I know for sure is I love you little kids, and boy, we're dying for the day you get home. We'll have the house all ready for you, I hope. And I'm sure Mommy told you about the motorcycle, so I won't tell you about that. The only thing is you'll have one to ride when you get home, and it is a nice one.